All right, welcome everyone. We are here. It is another edition of the Coin Rivet podcast. We got Kahle Burns. He has got a trophy this week. He's also one of the best poker players in the world. I can say that very confidently. And Kahle, tell us, how are you? How's it going? How's this week been?
No complaints on the week, because I don't know, won a trophy like you said, so how can you complain really? But no, it's been a good week. Great week. Now just busted the main event, so could be in slightly better headspace, but all in all, very good.
Right. Now, that brings me sort of to one of my first questions about headspace. So you just got the polar, to win a tournament's hard, right? There's always, how many people came this week?
Yep.
There's only so many events. Pretty sweet, huge score, got to feel amazing. Tell me about the highs and lows a bit with having a win versus like busting a 200K or 100K. How have you gotten to, over the years, deal with that type of swing?
I guess over time you sort of learn to switch off the emotional side of it, but it's been a long time between live poker tournaments, so it's sort of, and I did miss it a bit. So I guess like, if you ever describe like a bit of a rush or the feeling of going deep or whatever, I'd say that feeling used to not be there so much for me, because I just sort of try and come with the attitude that you're here to play, leave your emotions at the door, they don't serve you any good here.
Right.
But then 2.5 years off, I'd be lying if I'm saying I didn't feel a little bit of something. So no, it's been a fun week, I guess, but you just have to just roll with the punches, because it's such a savage game with the variance that if you don't, I feel like you're just going to be permanently pissed off. I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah, so, you lose tournaments kind of for a living, right? That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You don't cash or even, of course, win. And then tell me the same, though, about winning. Does it feel extra sweet after being off that long to get that sort of, that taste of a victory in such a huge score? I think 1.7 million or so?
I still say I have a disconnect to the money side of things, but very competitive person in nature, so it's always nice to win. I don't feel like I need to get a monkey off my back or anything like that. I sort of took a decent time away from the game in terms of I was staying at home, hanging out with my girlfriend and my family, because if you're on the road like 6 months, 7 months of the year, you sort of realize that while you're competing in this or whatever, and you're playing and you're traveling and living out of a suitcase, there's a lot of stuff you miss at home.
For sure.
So with, but I started to miss it, so I came back, I guess, and yeah, it's been a wild roller coaster, but it's been fun.
And tell me as well, when you started poker, what year was it and what were you doing? What was your first job? What were you doing before poker?
So I used to work in a bar or / like bottle shop, serve alcohol basically, as a 18-year-old boy. Yeah. And then my introduction to the card game was my friend Dave, who's still my friend to this day. He was sort of playing in high school, and he was a really bright, mathematical-minded guy, and he was making about, I think at first he was making not that much, but it got up to like 100 Australian dollars an hour. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money for a 17, 18-year-old boy.
And bartending, and this is...
Yeah, and I was like, there must be something to this poker business, this gambling business, right? So that was my introduction to it, and then, yeah, I don't know, like I sort of, my parents plotted out what they thought my life would be, civil engineering degree, and it just took a turn, and here we are, I guess.
And how do they feel now? How is it, how at first and versus now with family and kind of friends? Like, was it like, hey, don't do this, or go do what you love? What was the vibe of the family and friends?
My parents have been, in general, great parents, so I want to give them credit before I say this, but at first they were not supportive at all. Right. They just sort of thought that, you know, this is a waste of your time. You're throwing your time away, maybe even throwing more away by playing this stupid game. Right. But they know now they don't try to lecture me anymore, basically. They're pretty chill. They're good parents.
And that is now, they're like, okay, hey, well, are they like proud of you, or they like talk about it? Are they like sweating you and telling their friends, or is it kind of like taboo?
Nah, they're proud of me. I guess I'm a stubborn prick, so I had to prove them wrong.
You had no option, right? You couldn't go home with like...
I mean, I'm not going to listen to their shit. I mean, I don't know what they say when I'm not there, but Mum's pretty like onto it a bit. I don't never tell them like I'm doing this or I'm doing that, but Mum sort of knows what's going on.
That leads me to my next question, Triton production, right? We're here, you've played some Tritons before, all the bells and whistles, the TV stuff, are they watching at home, and do you go back and watch some of the footage?
I don't tell them what's going on per se, because I sort of just want to concentrate on what I'm doing, and I don't want to be like texting this person or that person.
You don't want your mom and dad to giving you strategy along the way. Like,
they don't even try to do that, but I just I'm too focused in on what I'm doing to even bother to do that. If they want to watch it on their own business, then they can.
Right.
Sorry, what was the other part of your question?
Just kind of have you watched the actual coverage? Like, have you seen the...
When I am in playing mode, sorry, I interrupted you a bit there.
You're good.
I do like to watch the footage to see what other people are doing, so I can sort of alter my strategy against them per se. Mm-hmm. And then in going back a while ago, I used to watch myself to see if I had, I don't know, any tells or stuff like that.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And how has been this actual, have you been to Cyprus? Is this your first time at Merit? Or?
First time here, yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
I mean, this place is pretty crazy, right? The hotel's really nice.
Yeah.
Small place, really small, but it's been pretty cool experience so far. Been going to the beach a bit, having a swim. It's been enjoyable. How can I complain?
You can't, right? You can't. How much is for poker for you? You've accomplished a lot. You've earned a lot. You've won big titles. And what is next for you in poker? What is it that keeps you coming back? And do you love it, or is it just you happen to be very good at it and you're
I don't know, to be honest. I took like a massive hiatus, so I guess I can't love it as much as some other people, I guess. But it is a very beautiful game, and I have a soft spot for the game, so it's always going to be a part of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do per se, how much I'm going to play in the future, because it's hard to play. Like, if I could play in Melbourne all the time or whatever, then I might do that. But it's hard to just travel and like get a girlfriend and a dog and stuff like that. It's just like,
right.
You sort of got to pick and choose your battles a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm definitely never going to stop playing the game. I love the game. It's a beautiful game. There's so much more to the game than what the average person realizes. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll always be a part of my life, but I don't know if it's like the be all and end all for me, put it that way.
What is you were in Melbourne, you mentioned, in the lockdown? Because I know Australia's pretty strict and crazy over there. Like, I don't want to make this about the pandemic. I'm actually just curious, like, how was that? Like, was it really like you were there for years? Like, you didn't...
I basically spent most of the lockdown in the UK, actually.
Okay.
So I was dating a girl, my ex-girlfriend. I don't know if it was really my girlfriend, and then we were in Russia, and I had to sort of decide. Every place was locking down, and you could basically go nowhere. And I sort of wanted to go home to Australia, but we had a flight back to Australia, but they changed the laws on the day of our flight. They weren't allowing any.
Was that when you were out?
Yeah, they weren't allowing any. We won't mention who that is if you know.
Yeah.
They weren't letting any foreigners into the country, so we just made a decision to go to the UK and spend a bunch of our lockdown there.
Right. Okay.
Might I say, when you spend lockdown with somebody, you figure out pretty fast whether you should be with them or not.
Yeah, it's exponentially. You're getting years into months,
you're putting time in the lab. Put it that way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. And what have you gotten? What is the thing you love most about poker, and what it's allowed you to do in life? Is it the freedom? What are something that just like you love that you're like, I'm so happy I've played poker because of this?
Yeah, the freedom to manage your own time is definitely a massive plus. Like I couldn't. And I don't like answering to authority, so I can't imagine me wanting to give up either of those things.
Right.
Also, the people you meet is pretty awesome too, because, like, I know some people will like call some of the people they play against fish and that whatever, but if the people, especially at the high rollers, the people that can afford to play the high rollers that aren't the best players, they're doing a lot right to be able to afford to do that in their downtime. Right. Exactly. There's some very interesting characters you meet some very interesting stories, and you can learn a lot off a lot of people that you run into at the table too.
Conversely, they may think that you're a fish or we're fish, right? Or people that play poker are fish because they're so successful and doing so much. They're probably, they're
they definitely could think that, yeah.
Yes. So and that does kind of segue nicely into the Coin Rivet 200,000 Invitational. 200K buy-in. You've played big buy-ins before. Tell me about the unique format of this tournament, how it is, and who is your partner? Who are you paired with?
I'm 90% sure I know his name, but let's just check to see that.
So there's no bromance here. This isn't a long-term.
No, it's a meet. Okay, yeah, I was right. A meet. So the thing is, I didn't have a partner until an hour or something before they did the reading, and then someone just found me a partner. I didn't know what my deal was or exactly
so
what was going on.
You didn't know if you were definitely going to play because of that?
I was like, does anybody want to play with me? Sort of, because I've just sort of, I feel like they've dusted me off and I've come off the bench from 2.5 years, so I don't know if I was anybody's first choice or anything.
Right.
But I've got this guy I meet, and he's a PLO player, but I spoke some hands with him, and he's playing actually very well, so...
So you had won the tournament and then got in the 200K, right? That was before.
That's what happened. Maybe that helps my case that I was running deep in that. I'm not sure.
A little confidence, put you in, And tell me about the uniqueness and how would you rate that, the quality of that tournament all around? It
was a fun tournament for sure. Good structured tournament. It's interesting what they do, how they segregate the field and then just blend it on the second day. But yeah, I had fun. I don't think they can do every tournament like that, but I think if they want to do something like that and it increases the size of the field and gets everybody excited, then good on them.
Yeah, and looking back now in the strategy, like how you saw it play out, would you, because a lot of people are talking about, oh, make it through, it's important, but at the same time, if you're playing, if you're playing different early and people are playing that way, it may be an advantage. How do you feel like you approach that strategy side of it?
I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, like if you just scared money up until day 2, then someone can just steamroll you. So there's only so much you can let it affect your play. Right.
You got to still play your hands on the table you're given.
To a degree. I mean, the tournament game, you got to be prepared to. You got to be ready to die, right?
Amir Vahidi said it. In order to live, you must be willing to die.
Yeah.
That is a powerful quote. Tell me about Triton and the future stops. Do you have plans to come back, and do you enjoy the Triton series?
I don't know when I'll be back next, but I'll definitely be back at some point. And yeah, I have an appreciation for the way the Triton guys run things.
Yeah.
They really look after the player, and all the rules are sort of set out in a way that they make sense in fairness for everybody as well. So they treat the player good, the rules make sense, everything's good. It's a 5-star experience when you play the Triton tournaments. And I've thought that from my first time I played with them. So I'll be back, I don't know when. I'm missing my girlfriend, my friends, my dog. So I don't know when I'll be back, but I'll be back at some point.
If you were giving advice to someone in poker that is now, of course, it's changed from when you got in, and there's different stakes. Beginners, people want to come into high stakes. What would be some advice you'd be that you kind of learned along your way? You said you were bartending, right? Or from 18 and kind of just dove in, maybe study more, maybe do something. What would be like advice to someone starting now that you would tell them, get into poker?
Play with your friends first for not much money.
Right.
And then if you decide you want to take things further, probably the first thing you want to learn is the opening ranges. That'll drastically change the way you play. It's easy information to digest. You'll start to learn that ace-3 offsuit under the gun's not so good, and that'll probably be a bit of a kickstart, and you can go from there if you want to.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, that is very good advice. And last thing on Coin Rivet we'd like to ask is crypto price predictions. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole of crypto, but give me January 1, 2023. So we're not far away, but give me where do you think Bitcoin and Ethereum will be at this time, or are you just no interest in crypto?
It's not that I have no interest, it's that I just don't have any fucking idea what the price will be.
Well, there could be a prize. I don't know what we're doing. There could be a prize. You never know. I just want to guess. That's all I want.
This is what I'll give you my honest thoughts. I'm long on both of those things, but in the short term, I don't try and predict their price that much.
Right.
I think there's definitely value in crypto, and there's going to be some very big winners in the long run, and a bunch of stuff that's probably not worth anything. So what are you asking
Bitcoin
for? The
price January 1, 2023.
I think we're going to tread water for a bit, so I don't think it'll be much different. I'll add like 4% to the price.
Okay, we'll stamp where the price is. We'll put 4% on both Ethereum and Bitcoin. Maybe there's a prize.
I'm still long though. Future good.
And NFTs, any interest? Think they're?
I don't know.
I
mean, I just don't know what's going on with them. There's too much stuff going on, and I don't know. Some people are doing really well off it. Some people are just going but I don't know what's happening in that sphere.
That's entry point too, right? There's been some big volatility in that. So fair enough.
A lot of the poker guys seem to like these, what is it, the penguins or whatever?
Pudgy penguins.
Pudgy penguins.
The crypto punks. There's some stuff, but all right, we're not going to get a ton from Kahle on NFTs and crypto, but we are going to say he's an amazing player. He has a Triton title, a lot of earnings, a lot of cashes. And where can they follow you? Are you on Twitter, Instagram?
I don't know. I'm not much of a social media guy, to be honest.
Listen,
I'm a simple man.
He is, but he's a good follow. ROFL Shove. We'll put that in the show below, and we will thank Kahle for his time, and we will see you on another edition of the Coin Rivet podcast. And Kahle, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Have a good one. See ya.